Hey everybody, Jeremy here. Today I'm going to be trying out and reviewing this dash camera from a company called SINCAMEX, and this is their Shadow dash camera. Now this is a two camera setup. You're going to get one camera that you put on your front windshield, and then there's another camera that you can attach to your back windshield. And you can get this entire package for about $60 over on Amazon, and I'll leave a link in the description to where you can find it there. Now I'm going to unbox this and show you everything that comes with it, and I'm going to set it up and show you some footage and let you know how everything turned out. But before I do that, let me tell you some features that this dash cam offers. It has its own app, so you can use it to control certain aspects of the camera and look at your playback and things like that. It has built-in GPS and Wi-Fi. Maximum resolution is going to be 2K, so that's 2560 by 1440. It's got a 170-degree angle of view, vibration reduction, digital zoom, G-sensor, super night vision. It has the ability to have 24-hour parking monitoring if you have this hardwired to your car, and then you record things in a loop cycle, so it overwrites the oldest footage that is not saved. All right, so I do want to thank SINCAMEX for sending this to me so that I can review it for you today, give you a nice honest review. And now let's open this up and see everything that comes inside of the box. All right, so the first thing that I'm pulling out here inside of this bag looks like it's going to be one of the cameras. Now, I think this may be the rear camera. You see that it has this very long cord attached to it. So I'm thinking that this part right here is going to plug into the camera in the front, and then you run all of this to your back windshield so that you can stick this on your back windshield as well. All right, so let's look at the other things inside of the box. See what else that we get. All right, so this is going to be the main dash camera. So you can kind of see the difference in size between the two. You're going to stick this on your windshield. It's got this sticky tape right here that you peel that off. And then, yeah, we have a USB port on the back of this camera, as well as an AV port and a spot for your micro SD card. And like I said, you're going to take this wire here, plug it into the front camera, and then these two will be connected when you are on the road driving around. All right, and the last thing that we get with this inside of this here bag, it's going to be the power source. So with this, you're going to plug it into what we used to call the cigarette lighter in your car. And then on the opposite end, we have this, looks like a micro USB port that you're going to plug into the back of this camera here, right there in the micro USB slot. And plug this into that power port in your car, connect this to this camera, and then you will be off and ready to go. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty simple assembly. And then also right here we have another spot for some more 3M tape that you'll be able to stick somewhere in order to give the camera a little bit more stability. So really that's everything that comes in the box. Not a lot of parts, not very complicated, but yeah. Next up is going to be plugging this in and setting this up, and I'm going to show you the app and let you know what kind of things that you can do inside there as well. So here's a closer look at the camera. So we can see on one side we got a power button there and a reset button. On the other side we have spots for the micro SD card, the micro USB port, and the AV port for the rear camera. And then that's pretty much it. There are some indicator lights on here as well, right there on the front, to let you know when the Wi-Fi is activated and when the camera is currently recording. But that is pretty much it. It's very light, and this here is movable. So once you have it mounted in your car, you are able to still move this independently so you can get the appropriate angle that you want. And then here is the rear camera. No buttons at all on the rear camera, just the sticky tape where you're going to mount it. And this is also movable, so you can get the appropriate angle for the rear camera. And then you have this super long wire that you have to run through your car and try to hide them as best you can. So you also get this red wire that's attached to it, and as you can see, it's a little bit stripped at the end here and is exposed. And I'm not too sure what this wire is. It's not too clear in the instructions. My guess is that this is going to be used to connect to something if you're trying to hardwire the rear camera. If you want to hardwire the entire system, that this is going to be a wire that you need so that the rear camera will be able to take advantage of all of the hardwired features. But I'm not going to be doing that for this install, so this is just going to kind of be there, and it is attached at this point here, so I can't just get rid of it. All right, so that is the hardware. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention, you do also get this little tool right here. It's going to help you route the cables. So now I'm going to set up this camera for the first time. I'm outside in my car, camera's plugged in, and I've downloaded the FinalCamX app. Opened it up, and this is the first thing that I see after agreeing to some permission. So I'm going to hit add camera. And here it says install the camera and power it on. I'm not going to install it yet. I just want to get this set up. So I'm just going to hit next. I'm going to hit connect Wi-Fi. From this list of Wi-Fi connections, I have to go to the one that says car DVR. So I'm going to tap on that. And then for the password, now inside the instruction manual, they do tell you what to put as the initial password. I don't know if this is the same for all cameras, so I'm just going to cut through this part, but make sure that you save your instruction manual so you can put in the password that they show you. So here's a look at the app. As you see up here, it says, please format the memory card through camera settings or insert a memory card. I haven't done that yet, but here is the camera. And there I am right there. I've got this little protective lens cover on top. So let me just peel that off. Camera quality should look a little bit better now. So this is through the front camera here. I'm going to put this back down. And then I'm going to take a look at some of these settings here. So I'm going to go into camera settings at the bottom right, and we'll see the different options that's available. You can choose to use the microphone on the camera. That's what the sound recording option is right there. You can choose the resolution of taking photos all the way up to 12 megapixels. The video resolution is going to be 2K at 30 frames per second for the front camera, and then 1080p at 30 frames per second for the rear camera, and you can't change it, it seems. Here's the loop duration recording. It says that the duration of each recording, if the memory card is full, it's going to automatically be overwritten from the earliest video. So you can set the loop duration is going to be for 1 minute. You can change the exposure compensation for the camera. You can put on the timestamp. You can activate the motion detecting, collision sensing. It says that when the camera is in recording mode, it'll automatically lock the current video when an impact is detected. So you can set the sensitivity for that from off all the way to high. If you have this hardwired with the hardwire kit, then you can activate the parking monitor collision detection setting and the time-lapse video duration. And then, as you see here, there's the Wi-Fi name for the camera down there. There's the Wi-Fi password, and you are able to change that if you want to. You can format the SD card, and you can reset everything. So those are the camera options. I'm going to press this button that has the 2 arrows with the 2 squares right here next to the microphone. So I'm going to tap that, and that is going to be for the rear camera. Okay, so this is the rear camera here. It also has that tape across the lens. So I just peeled that off, and this is from the rear camera. All right, so that's the rear camera. Push that, turn it around, and now we are at the front camera. All right, so that's what that button does. And then when you press the record button here, that's going to be for recording the video, but I don't have an SD card in there. And if I tap this right here, that's going to be for tapping the camera. It looks like a little camera down there. And then I can go to camera file, and then that will show me the files that are saved on the SD card if I had one placed inside. But yeah, that is the app. So it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and should be nice and easy to use. So now I'm just going to set up this camera. I'm going to install it, and we'll take a look at some test footage. And now for the moment of truth, let's take a look at some test footage. So as you can see here, I was recording this during some pretty good daylight. The light was nice and even all the way around, and the video footage looks pretty good, I do have to say. And as you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll also see some optional information that you can choose to show, such as the speed at which you are going and some coordinates as well. But as this is just stuck on my front windshield, I have to say that this is pretty good quality for a camera combination that costs only about $60. So as we get a little bit closer to the cars in front, we'll be able to see how well you'll be able to read license plates with this camera. And as you can see here from this clip at a pretty standard following distance, the license plate is clearly visible and it is very easy to read for the car directly in front of me. And I can also make out the license plate to the car directly to the side of me. And while it's not as clear as the plate directly in front, it is still readable. And that is something that I have seen be the case even on dash cameras that are far more expensive than this. So cars that are to your left and your right, those license plates are going to be a little bit harder to read than the cars that are directly in front. Now let's take a look at some rear camera footage. So I recorded this at the same period of the day, so the lighting is the same, but you can tell that the image quality is not as good as it is with the front camera. Now I can clearly make out what the emblem on this truck's front license plate is, but typically front license plates with identifying numbers are not very common in my state as well as other states, so it's not something that I would really get a lot of good use out of from that perspective. But as far as just keeping track of what's going on behind you and having some recorded footage just in case someone happens to rear end you or if an accident happens behind you, you'll be able to have a clear visual of what happened without any kind of objections to what the camera sees. Now, because this dash camera is on the less expensive side of things, I wanted to make sure that it was able to capture every single moment without any skips or jumps or lapses in the footage. And when I look back on the SD card, every single clip is recorded as a 1-minute clip. And looking through them consecutively, I can say that every second was accounted for. So I have not experienced anything such as a weird 5-second gap in between different recordings or just weird jumps here and there. Everything was recorded nice and smoothly throughout this entire process. So I knew that I didn't have to worry about something happening and then having to worry about whether or not the camera was actually able to capture it without skips. Now let's take a look at some night footage. Now the night footage is done in full color. I thought that it was going to be a black and white image, but that is not the case. And even though on this road it is extremely dark and the bright lights are on, I still think that the video quality is pretty nice for this $60 camera on a very, very dark road. The video quality still holds up pretty good for a $60 camera when you're on more well-lit streets at night. However, reading license plates becomes more difficult because the reflection on the license plate, it gets blown out in the camera and it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to read. The quality from the rear camera at night is noticeably and expectedly worse than the front camera. And when you're on some pretty dark streets or just somewhat dimly lit streets, you can see that there's a lot of motion blur going on because this is 30 frames per second. And because there's not as much light going into that lens and hitting the sensor, everything just looks really, really blurry and kind of trippy. So for this case, I wouldn't expect to use this to be able to clearly read things like license plates at night. In this case, the camera is really just something that's going to be set up so that you'll be able to capture things like a moment of impact and be able to make out at least what the car looked like and perhaps even its color and its make and its shape, just in case they were to speed off somewhere. You know, I really did enjoy my time with these little cameras. You know, they're very lightweight. It feels like there's nothing inside of them. But for $60, you're getting this peace of mind, knowing that both your front and your rear are being covered when you're out there on the road. What a camera that's kind of pretty much just set it and forget it, you know? Once you have everything set up and it stays plugged in, as soon as you turn on your car, it's going to start recording for the front camera and the back camera. And the app, which is FinalCamX, also found to be pretty easy to use and navigate as well. You're able to download the clips that your camera has wirelessly directly onto your phone, or if you want, you can just take out the micro SD card and then put that into your computer or your laptop in order to grab your files that way as well. So you get a couple of different options for retrieving your footage. I also did briefly test the microphone for this camera to see how it would sound if you wanted to record sound on your dash cam. And it's pretty muffled. You can tell that there's someone talking, but if you really want to make it out, it's going to be best to take that footage and put it onto your computer and then boost the volume that way, just in case that's something that was important that you wanted to have included in your footage. I'm glad I was able to review this dash camera and show you the quality and what you can expect if you decide to buy it. And if you do, just check the link in the description and it's going to take you over to Amazon where you can pick it up. And while you're over there, keep your eye open for any kind of promotional coupon that you'll be able to click on to save you a little bit more money. So that is it, you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll speak to you soon.